My name is Andrew Kennedy. I graduated from Northeastern University School of Law this past summer, and I'm currently clerking in the Superior Court of the Commonwealth. I've been lucky to get to know Judge Gants as a supervisor, professor, and mentor. I greatly admire Judge Gants' generosity, kindness, patience, and unflagging loyalty to his family, his students, and his profession. He always gives the utmost of himself with humility, compassion, and a strong sense of duty. I first met Judge Gants as a student intern during the summer of 2006 when he was sitting in the business litigation session. Later, I completed 3 courses he teaches at Northeastern University School of Law: Advanced Criminal Procedure, Seminar on Balancing Security and Liberty, and Civil Motion Practice. I was a little nervous before interviewing with Judge Gants for my student internship, probably not as nervous as I am right now. However, he immediately put me at ease with jokes about my resume. He asked me a lot of questions, and I was struck by his curiosity about me as a person, my experience in the Peace Corps, my family, and my plans for the future. I had expected questions on legal doctrine or items on my resume, and was surprised that he asked so many questions that appeared unrelated to the law. But now I realize that he was trying to get past my resume and to get to understand me as a person and to see if I was the kind of person who would take advantage of the opportunities offering me. Judge Gants' courtroom was a great place to work. He treated everyone, law clerks, assistant clerks, court officers, and judges, with respect and consideration, and earned the admiration of everyone who worked for him. Judge Gants also has great respect for the history of the Superior Court as an institution, and for all those whose efforts have made it the success that it is today. In his court, everyone contributed. Although I was only a second-year law student with little experience, Judge Gants always made me feel like my opinion mattered, and often asked me how I viewed the cases before him. He helped me to see beyond legal issues to better understand the nature of the dispute, perspective of the parties, their needs and desires, and the policy questions behind the legal arguments. When I was stumped, which was quite often, he would laugh and say, "It isn't easy." But Judge Gants is a great judge because he gives it all in every case, and that is never easy. During the summer of 2006, when family concerns drew Professor Ramirez away from her teaching duties at Northeastern University School of Law, Judge Gants stepped in and taught courses that she had been teaching. Despite the short notice and obviously difficult circumstances, he taught advanced criminal procedure with passion and insight. He brought every student into the discussion, having us stand and argue opposing positions on issues of law. Nobody sat down discouraged, only challenged to do better the next time. He pushed us hard, but was always supportive. More than just teaching us the law, Judge Gants made students appreciate their responsibility to strengthen our judicial institutions through professionalism and hard work. Judge Gants also made ethics a central theme of his seminar, Balancing Security and Liberty. The course highlighted the changing historical circumstances within which the law exists and informed us about the need to protect the public welfare without compromising our fundamental right to liberty. His even-handed analysis challenged students to find ways to guard against the very real threats posed by international terrorism without compromising their values. It is a testament to his effectiveness as an educator that in addition to learning the law governing this difficult topic, students learned a great deal about their shared American values. The last course I took from Judge Gants, Civil Motion Practice, gave students a chance to argue motions in front of the civil judge. His understanding that he understood that students might be anxious speaking in public, and joked with and cajoled us to relax and do our best. By the end of the course, nervousness had given way to confidence, and many students genuinely enjoyed the challenge of oral arguments. The final exam took place in Judge Gants' courtroom in the Superior Court, and if you didn't know better, you might have thought that some of the students were practicing surrender. Judge Gants is exactly the type of person that citizens of Massachusetts want and need on the Supreme Judicial Court bench. He takes time to listen and understand, and has a real gift for expressing difficult issues in terms that are easy to understand. He's a man of integrity, honesty, patience, and most importantly, humility. He will make a tremendous addition to the bench of the Supreme Judicial Court, from where, in a different way, he can continue to teach the law.
Oral argument was excellent. Thank you. That's David Meyer, the former chief of the Suffolk PA's homicide unit.
Okay. Governor Murray, members of the council, Thank you for the honor and the privilege to appear before you this morning. My name is David Meyer, and for about the last 10 months, I've been a trial attorney here in Boston at the law firm Judicial. For over 20 years before that, I had the privilege of appearing in various courthouses, first in Middlesex County, and then for the last 12 years here in Boston and Suffolk County, as a trial prosecutor. In the Suffolk County DA's office, as the chief of the homicide unit, my business day in and day out was to go into the Suffolk County courthouse and, in addition to trying my own cases, to supervise and observe other attorneys in the district attorney's office as they prepared cases and tried cases in front of members of the Superior Court. As you know, a courtroom is a place where all of the litigants in a public forum gather, both prosecutors, defense attorneys, victims, families, witnesses, police officers, and defendants. In the context of a murder case or a homicide case, emotions run high. On one end, there is the victim's family. They've lost a loved one. On the other hand, there is a criminal defendant whose liberty is at stake. There are prosecutors, there are defense attorneys, there are witnesses whose lives may be in danger. There are police officers. There are 12 jurors, 12 citizens who will follow the facts and follow the law as given to them by the judge. I know from my personal experience on each opportunity that I've sat in the back of a courtroom and observed Judge Gants preside over a homicide trial, that he exhibited each of the qualities that the previous speakers have spoken to. The last case that I had on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the District Attorney's Office was a very extraordinary case. It was an extraordinary case for me personally. It was an extraordinary case, I suspect, for Justice Gants. Because that was a case, Governor Murray, members of the council, in which a defendant was being put to trial, I believe for the first time, as the second defendant in a case in which a young man had been previously convicted beyond a reasonable doubt for a crime, I suggest to you, that he did not commit. A young man, 18 years old, in Dorchester, had been caught in some gang crossfire in 1996. And a young man, 18 years old, from I believe, the island of Barbados, had been killed. And the police had conducted a thorough investigation, and 6 or 7 witnesses had identified someone as the alleged assailant. The case had been tried in 1997. And an individual had been convicted by a jury of his peers beyond a reasonable doubt. The appellate courts had affirmed the conviction, and that individual was serving a life sentence without parole for a crime that he did not commit. Ultimately, in the year 2000 or 2001, new evidence developed that suggested another individual had in fact committed that very crime. And the police and the district attorney's office worked to develop that new evidence, and ultimately the individual who was then serving a life sentence, his conviction having been affirmed on appeal, was released from prison. And in the fall of 2007, about some 14 or 15 months ago, it fell upon my shoulders to appear before Justice Gants to try the second individual who had been charged with that very same crime back in the year 1996. So on behalf of the Commonwealth, I had to prove not only that this individual committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt, but in essence that the young man who had been identified by some 7 or 8 eyewitnesses, who had been proven for 12 previous jurors beyond a reasonable doubt to have committed the crime, was in fact not guilty. It was an extraordinary challenge for me, and I suspect for Judge Gants it was equally extraordinary. The case was specially assigned to him by the regional administrative judge for Suffolk County. And there were a series of issues that happened before the trial, discovery issues, all sorts of legal challenges, which Judge Gants methodically, carefully, and with respect for all sides, paid careful attention to. My recollection is that some of the rulings he issued on a snow day from his house, sending by email decisions